November 20th. I'm Scott.
And I'm Rim.
And this is Geek Night. Tonight we have a short episode and we're tired and sick, so I respond to one email about the Linux and the PS3. Let's do this.
Hooray! You know, you're probably not going to believe us, but we're going to have a short episode tonight. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, because you guys have a Wii and you want to play it. Well, while that was going to be true, it ended up not being true. We're actually not doing so well because we both got a little sick.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that our friend Yuko was over and Emily was over and all our friends were in Philly at a party. Meanwhile, we were in our house along with my little brother who I hadn't seen in like 3 years.
And his friend.
Yeah. So it ended up being an awesome but not very relaxing weekend.
All you have to know about my weekend was on Saturday, I beat Resident Evil 4.
Yep, and then Sunday morning.
And then Sunday morning, I went to the city and waited in line for 4 hours to get my guaranteed Nintendo Wii at the Nintendo World Store. But the only reason I had to wait for 4 hours was because they didn't have enough cash registers and they couldn't check people out fast enough.
Yeah, so props to Scott for braving, because Scott was already a little sick, and he had to stand out there.
Yeah. But I got one guaranteed. The only thing they would... we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll have
more detail. But all you have to know is we got Wii.
So this week will be a little short, as in today we're not doing much.
And not to mention, like Wednesday, I'm going to my parents' house for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, there might not be an episode Wednesday.
And Friday, I probably won't work. So it's like this week might be shot.
Yeah, well, there's going to be no episode Thursday. Fuck you guys.
I mean, we almost didn't do an episode today just because there's no news except Wii and PS3 news.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of real world news.
But we don't talk about it.
Well, no, I wanted to talk about it, but I kind of feel a bit shit right now.
Yeah, I definitely feel some shit. So I think the plan for this week actually is if we just make a really long, like a Wii episode tomorrow, then we won't have to make anything else this week.
Something like that. All I got to say is I have a lot of words about the Wii.
We got lots of words, so we're going to let that episode go.
Yep.
And we're going to, in order to make it all work, we just don't do some other episodes, and it doesn't hurt us.
Man, I would have been okay, except last night really didn't... It turned into a slumber party of staying up all night, playing Wii boxing, and talking about dumb stuff, and I only got like 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I actually went to sleep a little earlier and didn't go to work today, but Yeah, in this episode, I might, cough sometimes.
Yeah, Scott's been hacking up a dead something.
I think I'm at the stage of being sick where I'm not actually so sick anymore. It's just I got to cough up all the mucus.
Yeah, I'll bet you have some sort of viral thing.
Who knows? It'll be gone in a day or two.
All I got to say is I'm taking some NyQuil real soon. And
Do we still have NyQuil?
I have some NyQuil
Is it
somewhere.
still good?
It might be.
Does it have...
If it isn't, you know what? I have some Sudafed. Real Sudafed with pseudoephedrine.
See, I don't like Sudafed, but I like NyQuil.
Take them both.
Oh, no, that's dangerous. If you have real NyQuil, not the meth-free NyQuil, then I'll have some.
Why not just have the Sudafed? It works just as well.
I don't like Sudafed.
Why not?
Because it's a swallow thing.
What?
I mean, I
can't swallow a pill?
No, I can. I just prefer not to.
Okay, but the pills tend to work a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah? What are you going to do if you ever have to take drugs, if you're forced to take an antibiotic or something?
I've done it before.
Because Biaxin pills are gigantic.
I've done it before, and I've taken them. I just don't like it.
Sudafed pills are tiny.
How tiny is it?
It's like a little nub.
I still don't like doing it. I mean, I will if I have no other choice, but I just don't like it.
See, maybe it's the same reason why for some reason...
And here I have another choice, which is awesome NyQuil. So why would I bother,
I think it's the same reason you can't drink soda, because it hurts your throat. I think your throat's got a problem.
No, the soda doesn't hurt my throat. It hurts my mouth.
What? Soda doesn't hurt your mouth. It's psychological. It's psychosomatic.
It could be, but it's still...
It's got to be.
Who knows?
We'll do a double blind.
All right.
We really can't do a double blind.
Well, I'll just drink a beverage without knowing what it is.
There's no placebo, though, because that's like saying, yeah, we're going to see if you can taste the difference between orange juice and an empty glass.
All right.
What are you going to use for a placebo? An orange empty glass?
Flat soda.
An empty glass with a...
Flat ginger ale.
Anyway, I'm not even going to bother with the thing of the day music. We're just going to have some things of the day and get the hell out of here tonight.
Yeah, well, we're cutting it real short, aren't we?
You know what? That's fine. How many episodes have we done? We're allowed to have a crap one.
I'll talk about something like for technology for like 5 minutes.
What are you going to talk about? Other than the Wii.
Someone asked me a question on the. I'm gonna look in an email. I'll answer.
So you don't even know what the question was.
Hold on.
And now I got to stall for time.
You
while
don't
you're
gotta
looking.
stall. Just talk about your thing of the day.
All right. So Yuko was over here hanging out with the rest of us over the weekend. And she mentioned that there is a video called Unicorn versus Narwhal. Now, unicorns are known for having horns, as are narwhals. And this is some student's project. It's an animation, but about half of it, maybe a little more, ends up being animatics, because obviously the kid didn't have enough time to finish it. So we only animated some of it, and the rest is just, animatic, like still shots, and then the audio was dubbed over it. It's kind of quirky, kind of funny. It's really cheesy, but it's cheesy on purpose for comedic effect. And I really can't say much about it, except that you need to watch it. It's hilarious, and the horses look exactly like Ren and Stimpy horses.
I like the ending a little bit.
I like that a lot. I like
the dragon.
I like the dragon. He's like, I'll pump my little dragon wings as fast as I can.
Yeah, good voice actor on the dragon because it doesn't fit in, so it's hilarious.
They're pretty much everyone voice acting in this is great.
Yeah, I mean, considering it wasn't, I think the reason it wasn't done is it's one of those over your head things that happens in CS a lot. Is you get some guy who says, "All right, for this project, for this class, the teacher lets you do whatever you want." So he goes, "All right, I'm going to make a mush from scratch." And he goes for it, and he's got 10 weeks, and of course he comes up short. The work he's done is great, but the reason he doesn't finish is because the scope of his project was too large for, the target.
Yeah, but regardless.
It's like I got 10 weeks in this class, and there's a final project. I'm going to make an entirely new operating system. Let's go. It'll be better than Linux. It's going to have this and this and this, It doesn't work.
Yeah, but mad props for this thing. I mean, the winds of change are changing.
All right. My thing of the day is a spoof on, Jackass, those guys who hurt themselves.
Yeah. I think this is kind of based on, because there's been a couple of black comedians who have made jokes to this effect. I think Bill Cosby even used to.
Maybe. Anyway, Jackass, I actually think it's kind of okay. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, a guy's in a porta potty and got tipped over. These guys are making videos. They're making owned videos of themselves, basically.
Yeah, and you know what?
And I like owned videos, so I like that, even though it's forced. But it's not quite as good as a real owned video, See,
I guess to me, it's almost better in that it's not painful, because it's not someone, accidentally getting hurt, or someone just, actually really getting hurt. It's just a bunch of guys.
Well, they do really hurt themselves, but they want to.
Well, yeah,
it's like that video of people shocking each other with a taser they bought.
It's a bunch of guys who decided we're going to hurt ourselves for your amusement, and you know what? They make enough money to where more power to them.
Yeah, it's like that. What's that joke they always say? Like, someone pretending to be an old lady falling down the stairs is funny, but if you're a comedian, it's got to be a real old lady.
Huh? You must listen to Penn Radio.
I must.
Or anyway. Possibly Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah. So yeah, because I'm just so
hip.
Jaded from seeing so many funny things on the internet that I needed to be a real old lady.
I don't know. Over this weekend, I saw about 5 funny things on the internet I hadn't seen before. One of which was my thing of the day.
Most of them were people waiting in line for the PS3.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, there's this other video of it's basically a bunch of kittens versus a bunch of bananas on strings.
So the video for my thing of the day is a guy named Tracy Morgan, who I know that name is a famous name, and now I know what he looks like, but I have no idea what he does. I'm sure I could look it up on Wikipedia, but I don't care. I'm doing a show right now. And he pretends that he's on Jackass, but he calls it Blackass. And he does what a black man would do, well, what a stereotypical humorous black man would do if forced to be in a Jackass movie.
See, I've seen multiple black comedians because a lot of black comedians can make racial jokes that if a white comedian tried to make.
Sort of like the dentist who pretends to be Jewish to say just for the jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've seen numerous comedians who will do a whole bit about how black guys do stupid things and white guys do stupid things. But the kinds of stupid things white people do are way more dangerous and stupid. And the jokes are always like, black man wouldn't do that. Well, that's what this seems to be.
That is what this is. And it's actually pretty funny.
The guys are like, all right. Like, they show, like, he's standing there, and they're like, all right, you got to do this thing. And he's like, I ain't doing that. What the fuck?
Yep.
The part at the end is what really got me.
Yeah, it's the best part. Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of ramble a bit and then wrap this show up. It'll be very fast karate style.
This whole show, I found the email. I'm going to do this quick geek back. I actually replied.
Oh, a geek back.
Yeah. I replied to this guy with a pretty long email, but I'm going to just do a little summary.
Wait, is this the one that went to the Geeknights email that I saw?
The one about Linux on a PS3?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read this guy's email because it's pretty short. It's a guy from Taipei, Taiwan. Ooh, a guy from Taiwan. What's up, Taiwan? He says, yo, I know you guys don't do reader mail or anything. We do, just not often. But there's a question maybe you could just answer or address in on a tech night or something. So TerraSoft will release a version of Yellow Dog Linux version 5.0 to run on the PS3. Say I have the 60 gig version and USB mouse and keyboard. What programs, media applications, games, and etc. would I be able to run? How user-friendly is Yellow Dog? I have no Linux experience. And is there any actual benefit at all, or is this just a thing to do to market the PS3 as a computer? Well, let's see if I can sum this up pretty quick. If you install Linux on your PS3, it's no different than installing Linux. Well, it's mostly no different than installing Linux on a normal computer. You can do anything that you can do with a Linux computer. The trick is that the PS3 is missing some components that a normal computer has, and some of the components of a PS3 are different than what a normal computer has.
Mainly the processor.
Yes.
You see, all computers that you have ever used have pretty much either been a Power PC.
Very rarely. Only if it's an old Mac.
Or an x86.
Most likely.
And those are pretty much the standard. Everything else out there, you will never run afoul of in your small life.
Unless you are a technology professional.
And even then, you'll rarely run afoul of anything else.
Unless you are working with mobile devices.
Yes.
Or giant Big Iron. But even Big Iron these days uses PowerPC and x86.
Because IBM still makes PowerPC and all that. But anyway. Yeah. The PS3 has the Cell processor, which we're not going to talk about in detail now. We could do a show on it because...
It's pretty close to the PowerPC, but not exactly.
Well, I used to work in the factory at IBM that made them. And in fact, the people who made them, some of them used the computers that I designed and deployed and all that, so that's kind of cool.
Yep.
But the Cell, like all things that are new and powerful and complicated, is somewhat difficult to utilize fully.
Well, the only thing that really matters to someone using Linux on a PS3 is the fact that Cell is not PowerPC and it's not x86.
Well, yeah, you have to compile anything you want to run for Cell. So the assembly instructions are for Cell processors and not for x86 processors.
Yes, compiling is when you take source code and turn it into assembly instructions.
Assembly instructions are just strings of ones and zeros that, in the raw, the processor sees and knows what to do with.
Yeah, that's the actual... You know, if you take an exe file, that's the stuff in there that talks to the processor directly. So if you have a different kind of processor, you need to talk to it differently. So the Linux that they're giving you to run on the PS3 is already compiled into assembly instructions that can talk to a Cell processor. So any software that is given to you by Yellow Dog Linux or whatever PS3 Linux they want to give you, is going to work. But if you want to get some software like, I don't know, Myth TV or your favorite NES emulator or something like that to run, that normally runs on Linux on any of the computer, you're going to have to recompile it. Or find someone else who's already done it and is giving it to you.
The other issue you're probably going to run into is that Yellow Dog feels and works, at least as far as I have interacted with it in recent memory, like Red Hat.
That's what Yellow Dog originally was. Red Hat for PowerPC.
But
That's all it was.
Not even like the new enterprise Red Hats. I'm talking like Red Hat 9, where stuff just didn't work. And if you wanted to install software, you had to find RPM files.
I think now it's more like a Fedora, closer to Fedora. I don't know. It's changed a lot over the years.
I hope so, because I've never heard anyone say anything good about Yellow Dog. No, I mean, I don't want to sound mean.
Well, originally, Yellow Dog Linux was the only Linux that worked on desktop Mac PowerPC computers. Now every distro under the sun has done PowerPC. So Yellow Dog, it makes sense that their new niche is going to the the core processor, the cell, not the core, the cell.
Core.
Yeah, core is the Intel core. It's an x86. Anyway, so that's the first problem. The second problem is the weird peripherals of the PS3. Now I don't know the answers to these questions, but will the Blu-ray drive work in the Linux? I don't know, but if it does, then you're going to have a good time watching Blu-ray DVDs on your Linux-powered PS3. If it doesn't, you're going to have a hard time because you can't put other stuff in there and make it work.
I imagine it won't work, or it'll take a lot of effort to make work, because they really are probably worried about people ripping Blu-ray movies and piracy and all that.
Yep. Now, question number 2, will the wireless 6-axis controller work in Linux? If it does, good times, because you can use that controller to play all kinds of emulated games. If it doesn't work, then what's really the point? You might as well use a computer. Why use a PS3? Will the HD output work? If you have a PS3 plugged into a TV and you want to use it as a computer, you would hope that you would have HD output, seeing as the whole thing revolves around HD. If it only outputs in normal TV resolution when running Linux, then really you could use a computer.
My guess is going to be that, again, anything HD is going to be internally encrypted with bullshit, and it'll be really hard to make it work with your Linux.
Yeah, who knows? What else? There's questions of, like, does this have a wire? Does the PS3 have wireless?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. It has a network card of some sort, wireless or wired. Is that going to work? Probably. If it's wired, it probably does.
You don't know what
if
the real answer
wireless,
is?
Who knows?
You want to know what you should really do? Just wait. If it's feasible, if this is going to work, they're going to make it work, and someone on Slashdot will say, hey, we got it to work. And at that point, get your PS3 and install Linux on it. Until then,
because here's where I'm kind of torn. The PS3, you look at it, and you say $600, look at those crap games. It looks like the PSP all over again, only not portable. All right? And people are going crazy over it, whatever. But as a computer running Linux, if it has HD outputs, if the Blu-ray drive works, if the network card works, if the 6-axis controllers work, if all those things work, and people start porting lots of software over to the cell processor, and it becomes very easy to cross-compile existing open-source software to the cell processor, for $600, that's a pretty fast computer you got there.
Except that it's not upgradable.
That's true.
It's probably not that powerful. We don't know yet. We got to wait for more information to come out. But
I think the real problem with the power is you have to wait for GCC to optimize more code for...
What I've been reading a lot of articles about, but I want to get more articles because I haven't seen enough to convince me yet. But a lot of developers have been talking about how the way the cell processors work, there's a really big memory access constraint that's causing a lot of trouble for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a few websites claim that one of the reasons a lot of the earlier games coming out are 720p instead of 1080 is because they can't make the game run smoothly in 1080 because the textures are too big to use them properly in the RAM. And also that a couple of the cell processors are pretty much always busy dealing with internal PS3 shit and all sorts of problems with the whole parallel architecture.
Well, here's another thing. Will the 3D powerful, the 3D chip work in Linux? Will you be able to run GLX, SDL type things, or will you just be stuck with 2D?
And also, computer processors are getting faster at a very fast rate still.
Yeah, so it really comes down to how much of the hardware in the PS3 does the PS3 Linux support, and if it does support all the hardware, is that worth $600 compared to a $600 computer that you can buy a Newegg?
In my professional opinion, as an IT guy who has worked for large companies for many years, I would say, this is my opinion, that by the time people have figured out the PS3 enough to utilize it to its fullest, regular computers will already be far faster than the PS3.
Yeah, but there are a few things, though, that it still might be worth it, even if it's not faster, because you do have that HD output,
See,
which is
here's the
difficult
other
to
thing.
get, and you do have the Blu-ray drive.
I don't think anyone will get those to work in any reasonable span of time.
They might already be working. I haven't done the research.
Well, more importantly, even if they work, most people don't care about that. And
Well, those people don't care about a PS3 in the first place, because PS3 is all about HD. If you don't have an HD TV and you don't care about HD, you don't care about a PS3.
but most people don't have HD.
Yeah, so they don't care about PS3s.
Yeah.
This is only for people who care about PS3s.
So there aren't that many people trying to make all this stuff work, because I don't think that many people care. And I really think that Blu-ray is not going to make it in the end.
Well, I don't think either one of those things is going to
Oh yeah, I'm not saying HD DVD will. I think it has a better chance.
But the thing about Blu-ray is even if it doesn't, quote, make it as a movie disc or even as a popular disc at all for any use, it is useful, even if you're the only one in the whole world to use it for storing shit tons of data.
The PS3 doesn't burn Blu-rays. It only plays them. And if you get a drive that burns Blu-rays for your computer, then you can read them on your computer.
True.
Now, if the PS3 could burn Blu-rays, you're totally right. I'm with you 100%. But
Well, no, because here's the one thing, all right? The PS3 is cheaper than a Blu-ray player, right?
not by much. Blu-ray players are pretty cheap.
Yeah. But if you had something to burn Blu-rays, and you burn them, but in a computer, you could then put them in your PlayStation 3 to watch them on your HD TV.
But you could watch them on your HD computer.
yeah,
That's in
you
fact-
can watch Blu-ray discs on the PS3 without Linux. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Plus, I mean, for all this talk of HD, everyone needs to remember that computers have effectively been HD for a long time.
Yes, but the only way to actually get a computer to display an HD on an HD TV is instead of a computer monitor, is if your HD TV has DVI input, which some do,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
only the good ones.
But you
Like,
know what? Especially if you're living in a small house or a dorm, just get a 21-inch CRT and use that as your television, and it'll be awesome HD.
it will be awesome HD.
And it'll be a fraction of the price. There won't be any DRM.
Oh, wait, here's a reason to use the PS3. With the HD outputs, you could download, using the PS3 and the network connection and Linux, onto the hard drive, HD stuff from the internet, and then watch it on the TV.
But-
That's the only way you can do that now is with tricky Myth TV setups with, like, hoppage cards.
Or just watch it on your computer.
Yeah, but even I don't...
The only HD content you can download are stupid movie trailers.
no, you can download lots of HD content.
Not anything worthwhile.
Yeah, lots of
Like
stuff.
what? What's worthwhile?
All kinds of movies on BitTorrent and TV shows on BitTorrent.
Whatever. Things on BitTorrent, most people
Like,
don't.
really, if we didn't have the Mac plugged into the TV, I probably wouldn't watch anything we downloaded. I can't watch stuff on a computer screen anymore.
I can just fine because I got a pretty big computer screen.
Nah. Even so, it's not... I'm not going to, like, sit around a computer screen. Those days... that's for the college days. If you're in college, it's great. Nowadays, no way.
I think buying the PS3 for any reason other than playing PS3 games, in my opinion, is really dumb.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb, but I'm just giving people the facts about
I know.
PS3 on Linux.
I just don't think there's any useful purpose to doing that.
There is a useful purpose for a few people who care.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we're going to bed.
That's the info about the PS3 and Linux.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.